Hi folks, I'm Ken Ring of www.predictweather.com. It's the 27th of May and we're nearly at the full moon time. The full moon's going to be at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, so pretty well tonight is going to be the full moon night. And the evenings are clearing because when the full moon is in the sky clears. That's pretty well a rule, and that's because the moon lifts the air up underneath it. It fills the underneath with more volume of air, just like what it does to the tide at the beach. It fills it up, more volume of water, and does it by its gravitational pull. When it pulls the air, it pushes away that heavier, colder night air that wants to come down, come closer to the ground, and it's that colder night air that condenses the water into visible clouds. You know, there's water vapor everywhere up there. It's not just where the clouds are, but where the clouds are the cold bits in the sky where the condensation has been allowed to happen to make those clouds visible. So what the full moon does is it clears the sky for you. The old sailors used to say that the full moon eats clouds, which is a nice way of thinking about it because it's a pretty good description. As we said before in other blogs, full moons in wintertime is a sign of snow because the winter full moon is always right in the south. As you can see in the model there, that's what it looks like around midnight tonight, and it's dead above our heads, which is when we're in the southern hemisphere here, and the moon goes from north to south every 27 days, changes hemispheres every 13 days, and when it's in the south it generates southerlies, and they're just starting to be generated right now down in the bottom of the South Island. So right now, just before the full moon, it's actually called the waxing gibbous, and it's a foggy phase. We get most of our fogs around this phase. We get fogs at other times too, but not as many as the waxing gibbous between the first quarter moon and full moon. And the moon will be over north around midnight. So that's what it actually looks like in my model when it's directly overhead in terms of the middle between the moonrise and moonset. And it's always in the north, in the northern hemisphere. It's in the south, in the southern hemisphere. It used to be a direction finder for travelers because the full moon in the northern hemisphere, for example, the full moon right at the stroke of midnight on the full moon day, the moon was dead south, and it's sort of dead north here. They even used to have moon dials at one stage because the moon was so bright. Now, a couple of things about the full moon you might like to know, and that is more people seem to get born and die around the full moon because the gravitational pull seems to speed things up in some people's bodies, and especially people who are in hospital, a bit poorly, everything starts rushing more, and there's apparently more bleeding that goes on reported in hospitals, as well as more people go a bit loopy, more people commit crimes, probably because everything is going for it a bit more. Endocrine systems, blood's probably thinner. I don't know, I'm not qualified enough to talk about that, but it's just that these things have been reported. If you get into a taxi and ask the taxi driver which nights of the month people are worst behaved, he'll probably say it's the full moon night. And all sorts of other things happened around the full moon. Because the energy was pulled upwards in a plant, the energy went to the extremities where the fruit was, so it made the fruit more colourful and more juicy and full of water as well. Well, that was the juicy part. So they used to pick fruit around the full moon because it would have a shorter shelf life, because all that juice, sugar and water would rot it more quickly, and of course that was good for a retailer. So if you want to pick fruit that's going to be preserved, you pick it around the new moon, or pick it for yourself because you want it to last longer, on your shelves. As against the new moon, which was more steady, slower energies. Firewood used to be sold by weight. So the firewood merchants would actually cut the wood around the full moon because it was more full of water then, more full of sap, and so it was heavier. But the carpenters, the cabinet makers, they used to want wood that was cut around the new moon, so they would pay more for wood cut around the new moon because it would have less water in it. The saw would go through it more easily. It wouldn't have fungus, it wouldn't rot as quickly, and it was just easier to work all round. Other things happen around the full moon time. There's more heat in the summer around the full moon, so you get heat stress in animals, especially cows, around the full moon. Milk production goes up around the full moon in the summertime. There's more cold stress on the animals in the wintertime because it goes colder then. Midwinter nights have longer moons, so the full moon is in the sky for longer during the winter because the full moon is higher in the sky than the summer full moon. And in fact, it goes like this. For example, when the winter sun is at the same level as the summer full moon in the sky. So the winter sun is just above the horizon, and that's where the summer full moon is. But the winter full moon is up above, just about the level of the summer sun. So that's why frosts are often more severe on the full moon winter nights than the new moon winter nights, because the nights are not only longer, they're also clearer for longer, so the ground heat is all lost because there are no clouds to hold that heat in. So you get a greater frost sometimes. A clear white moon tells you that the next day will probably be nice. And if there's a general mist before sunrise or a misty sunrise, the old folklore, they used to say, and there could be some truth in it, that a misty sunrise will mean the weather will be fine for some days and some cloudless skies. Well, this time though, in New Zealand, there's still some rain around, some heavy rain, and of course with the full moon we have these big king tides, and that's why we're getting so much flooding, because the water just can't get away, because the streams and rivers are higher. They are blocked at the end of the sea, they can't go out. The tides have come in too much. And as long as the rain keeps falling, the rivers and the streams will stay in flood, and the tides aren't going to start to recede until the 30th, which is on Sunday. However, I'm picking most of the heavy rain is going to stop about today, and the waters in Otago should start receding too. So from now on, we're easing off this bad weather, which has been associated with the moon being closer to us in the past few days, and now that's receding away as well. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of that. I hope I'll see you tomorrow.